then the incredible Epcot Center. Now comes the new Disney MGM Studios theme park. The Disney MGM Studios theme park at Walt Disney World in Florida.
On the next Best of Good Company, it's a special wedding show from the Como Park Conservatory in St. Paul, where you'll see the latest in wedding fashions, including traditional and not-so-traditional looks. Also, Mr. Romance Langdon Hill has some advice on how to keep a relationship lasting forever.
Plan to be spontaneous.
Plan spontaneous.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
It's our special wedding show from the Como Park Conservatory. Join us at 3 for the Best of Good Company.
Randall Carlisle and Angela Astor, tonight at 6.
Good morning, I'm Bob Bruce and welcome to Twin Cities Live. One of my guests today says that she remembers going to bed at night and thinking that, basically hoping that she wouldn't have to wake up the next morning because she didn't think that she could handle what she had to handle in her life. Her feelings are not uncommon. For any parent to lose a child, it is devastating. But if you can imagine just for a moment how that agony and pain is magnified when that child is murdered. I'd like to meet Joanne Erickson. And Joanne, I want to take you back to a very difficult day, a day that many of us rejoice on and celebrate on, family. It was Thanksgiving of 1983. For you, a day that no longer means rejoicing.
Mm-hmm. At the time, you know, at that day, we didn't know what had happened. We had suspicions. My daughter, Sharon, had talked to Linda in the morning, and she was coming over for Thanksgiving dinner. And she never came over. Rick came over about an hour after. We found out later it was about an hour after Linda had been killed. And he came over, and he had her car, and he had her rings, and he was crying and saying that she had left with another man. And my daughter right away didn't believe him because she knew, you know, why would Linda give him her rings? Why would he have Linda's car? He ate dinner with us, and then for the next 4 weeks, it was continuous lies, deception. He was over at our house all the time. He would say, I know a new place we can look for Linda. I know someone we can call for Linda. He'd go to her office, ask the people if he could look through her desk. He would be crying at our house all the time. You know, one minute we would believe him, and the next minute we wouldn't. We were just really torn.
What kind of relationship did you have with your son-in-law before this happened? Was it pretty normal?
Yeah, it was pretty normal. We liked him. He didn't have any family. His mom and dad were dead. And I think we really took him into our family. We really cared about him, and I thought he cared about us.
So you went 4 weeks? Before you knew
4
exactly
weeks.
what had happened? When did you first find out that your daughter, Linda Schubottom, had been indeed murdered?
During that 4 weeks, we went, like I said, we went back and forth. But I think the thing that really blew it was my husband and I went down to the police department because Rick said he had filed a missing person report on her. And I asked him if he told them about her car and her license number, because the next day after my daughter, I've left this out, the next day after my daughter, Sharon, said, you know, there's no way Linda would leave her car, then he called us and told us that she had come and gotten the car when he was sleeping, and that now the car was gone. So I said, did you report the car missing? And he said yes. So we went down to the police department and looked at the missing person report, and there was nothing about the car on there because he had the car hidden. He was going to sell it later. And I guess that day,
what was it really like for you? Your child is gone. You didn't know at this point really what had happened to her, correct?
Right.
And now suddenly you're suspecting your son-in-law.
Well, now it changed because now we knew something was wrong, and now we were in contact with the police department, and they told us every time he called, every time he had any contact with us, we were supposed to call the police. And by this time, they were starting to question him.
When did you first realize that your daughter was dead?
Well, there really wasn't any, you know, there was no proof until February 16th when she was found. I mean, that was the absolute proof. But we got a call from the Anoka sheriff's department saying that an anonymous person had called them to tell them that Rick had killed his wife, and he wanted to question Rick in connection with some other dealings that he had been involved with.
What was the initial, now there was a plea bargain because the body could not be found?
Right.
And basically,
Right.
you had to make a deal
Right.
with the murderer of your
Right.
daughter.
If we hadn't made the deal, there was no way that the county attorney's office was going to press any charges against him, because without a body, it's almost impossible. So we were really left with no choice.
He was convicted of second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder, but there was an upward departure from the sentencing guidelines, and he got 2.5 times the sentence. So he got 25 years, which is 17 2/3 good time.
Once you knew for sure that your daughter was dead and the body had been found, I'm sure that you had thought about this many times during that time.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first initial reaction when you knew that your child had been murdered?
I was just numb, just numb. Like, what's the use? You know, that whole 3 months, you kept thinking, oh, maybe it's not true. Maybe she's alive, and maybe she has run off, which is what he led us to believe. Not only did he murder her, but then he comes over to us every day to degrade, you know, what she would, you know, make it seem like she was at fault.
It went on for quite a while for you. For Jim and Evelyn Coonrod, you knew very soon after your daughter was murdered.
About 1:30 that afternoon.
1:30 that afternoon. This was about a year ago that your daughter, she was murdered in a parking ramp.
Right.
For you, I know we talked about this earlier, the initial reaction that you had to this and how long you stayed in that initial shock. You appeared on Twin Cities Live and told the story of your daughter, Carrie, before. We had a little discussion this morning. You said that even that appearance to talk about how you and your husband were handling it seems almost as if it wasn't you.
It doesn't seem like it was real. I think about it now, and it's like it didn't happen. I was somewhere else or looking down at what was going on. I guess we were just in shock.
Where are you at this moment?
I think right now, probably right back to square one. I think that's how I feel. Don't you?
Yeah, you get some days that are okay, but then when it hits you, it's just like it's happened over again.
Do you feel, and I know you must feel this way, and I believe I asked you this before, when you were on the program before, that here's a daughter that you raised. She's a beautiful young lady, wide-eyed, very young, ready to go out and tackle the world, comes to the big city, and then has her life taken from her. You must feel very, very cheated.
I do, very much so. We were very close. Our whole family, well, the three of us were, I think, exceptionally close because Carrie was our only child. And she came home every weekend, and I know once she started working, she wouldn't have. And her life would have changed a lot, but it was just fun listening to how things had changed in the last year that she was up there.
Jim, for you, your feelings?
It's you feel angry, you feel cheated, and you're empty.
Dr. Tom Whitcop and his wife Nadine are with us today. Your son Edward was murdered in May of 1987.
Yes, he was. He had been living with some roommates over near the university. They had been going to college. He had, a couple of months earlier, been started seeing a woman, 19 years old, and over the course of that 2-month period prior to his murder, he had come to sense a very controlling aspect of her character, her personality. Shortly before he was murdered, he attempted to break the relationship off, and she became extremely angry about that, and in the early morning of the day that he was murdered, she broke into their house and snuck upstairs and shot him in his sleep with a shotgun.
Nadine, young boy going to college, dating like many other young boys. We always think this is something that happens to someone else. There are probably many viewers that are watching this program that are saying, well, this would never happen to my family.
Right, we thought that. I mean, you know, it was, even though we knew she was a very difficult person, she was, she wanted to watch everything he did. She sat outside of his house and watched his activities. She didn't want him to go jogging. She didn't want him to come over and see us. We knew she was an extremely difficult person, but you can't comprehend the idea of murder. And and also the fact that she was a woman, and you know, and he was a boy, a male. It didn't compute. You know, you worry about your daughter meeting some man that might be tremendously dangerous, but you don't think about dangerous women very often. So yeah, it was way outside any expectations that we had about the way life proceeds.
Evelyn?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. I was just going to say that also for you, it's, in fact, in all three cases, it came from somewhere totally unexpected. For you, Joanne, it was your son-in-law. For you, Evelyn, your daughter was walking into a parking ramp the same way millions of people do each and every year, in and out of a parking ramp in the Twin Cities.
Getting out of her car.
In the morning?
In the morning, in broad daylight. Did you have the same feelings that, as far as...
About Carrie's safety?
Well, yeah, I mean, we tend to lull ourselves, don't we? That our children are always going to be here.
I can't...
That nothing's, you know...
I can't honestly say that from the time Carrie was about 10 years old, and this sounds weird, but I used to have these premonitions that something horrible was going to happen to her, but it was always in our own home. We'd be out somewhere, and I'd tell Jim, I have to get home. I want to get home and make sure Carrie's okay. And I didn't want to tell him that at first, and then I finally started telling him. I used to picture her bathed in blood in her bed. And I think it was kind of a premonition setting me up for this. I have no idea.
Let me ask all of you, before we move on, how is this different than a parent who loses a child to sickness or perhaps an accident? I mean, there is a big difference here, isn't there?
The violence. The violence is so shocking, and you know, the horrible scene that goes through your mind over and over and over again, and the whole, you know, the way that you raise children with the idea of protection, and that, you know, they get to be at a certain age and you feel like you can let them out in the world a little bit. I mean, your assumptions are that it's at least reasonably safe, and it just flies in the face of everything that you've always felt and known. The violence of it is tremendously demoralizing.
Did you ever say to yourself as a parent, you protected that child for so long as a parent, did you ever say to yourself, as a parent, I should have known? From birth, I protected that child. I should have been able to find some way.
Oh, I don't think.
Did you ever say that?
Sure. After Eddie died, I think I struggled with that. What could we have done that might have given him more evidence of the nature of this woman? What could we have said? What should we have seen that could have more clearly shown this woman's potential? And I want to say something about what you just asked before that. One of the real difficult parts for me in Eddie's murder and everything that's happened since then has been that sense that somebody else arbitrarily and self-centeredly decided that Ed should die. That this was not an accident. This was not something that was an act of nature. That there was somebody who actually decided that he should no longer live. And that, to me, is...
that was so self-centered.
Just unthinkable.
So self-centered that they thought that they had...
The right.
The right.
To decide that he should die.
In a moment when we come back, there are many different things that parents have to deal with financially, going to work every day after something like this happens. And I do want to mention that all these people on this panel today, are not looking for pity or sympathy or whatever. In fact, they're out consciously helping other parents who have experienced this to get on with their lives. How do you ever get on with your life after you lose your child to a murderer? We'll talk about it right after this.
Today's show, bashed borscht. Begin with Reynolds' new Sure Seal sandwich bag. Add 5 beets, 1/2 cup cream, seal the bag, and bot the beets. Oh, baby, bot the beets. Oh, baby. Voila, bashed borscht. No other sandwich bag can do that.
They're the toughest plastic bags ever built. New Sure Seal bags from Reynolds. It's Reynolds Sure Seal or bust.
Next week, stomped steak.
New Dole Pure and Light. Now pure fruit juice has zing.
Zing, zing, zing goes the cherry. Zing, zip, zoom, tangerine. Zing, zap, zip goes the raspberry. Zing, bang, boom goes the peach.
Dole Pure and Light. Nothing artificial. No sugar added. It's the 100% fruit juices in 4 great flavors that puts the clean, crisp zing in new Dole Pure and Light.
A taste that goes zing.
I like working 40 hours every week. I just don't like working them all in the same place.
Dolphin Temporary Services. Work for us, and you work for the finest companies in Minnesota.
When it comes to the advantages of working temporary, you can believe everything you read.
Dolphin Temporary Services. Work for us, and you work for the finest companies in Minnesota.
Thrilled to the spectacle of jousting nights at the Renaissance Festival. Weekends in Labor Day, August 12th through September 24th. The Renaissance, where knights fall daily.
I want to tell you about an upcoming show here on Twin Cities Live. There's a big hit movie, When Harry Met Sally. Maybe you've seen it. And it's got a lot of people talking about their own relationships and wondering if a man and a woman can be just friends. Not lovers or anything else, but just friends. On Monday, August the 28th, we'll find out as we meet couples whose close friendships did in fact turn to love. For some it worked, for others it failed. Does a close relationship between a man and a woman always turn to romance? What if you start dating your best friend and it doesn't work out? Will that friendship be destroyed? We'll try to get some answers from local Harrys and Sallys on August the 28th. I hope you'll come down and join me in the studio audience. 641-1298 is the number to call. Joining us now, Dr. Lois Schluter, a Ph.D. clinical psychologist, to talk about this. Excuse me. Let's start with just, I guess, the family unit in general. Now, for the Coonrods, Carrie was your only daughter? Now, and you had another daughter also?
We have a daughter.
Okay. And you had a daughter also?
I have three daughters.
3 daughters.
3 daughters and 1 son.
What, the dynamics of the family unit, if you take one person out of that unit, it changes, obviously, drastically. What happened to your family? Did it start to disintegrate? Did it, I mean, let me begin with the Coonrods, because there were no siblings. For you, your life changed.
Completely.
Totally. You had, your life, I'm sure, as many parents, was built around your child and that child's future.
It was.
What did it do to your family, and how did your relatives react to that?
I think about the same as we did. Everybody's in shock. And we've got a small family. My family is small. Jim's is larger, and they're in New York. We went to visit them, and a lot of them wouldn't even speak to us about it. If you mentioned it, you know, they didn't. But on the whole, we're just plain lonely. Just missing so much.
Joanne, for you, you said that even your daughter was a little bit suspicious about this whole thing. For her, as a remaining sibling and the other daughters, what was it like for them? And did your relationship change with them?
I guess at the time, I I guess I couldn't help them at the time. You're so tuned in to what's happened to that one child that I don't think I was tuned in at all to what was happening with them. To tell you the truth, I really wasn't.
Dr. Schluter, I want you to jump in here on this because I think that family changes so much.
Absolutely. I wanted to comment about what you said. That's one of the toughest things with this kind of situation, which has a lot of problems, obviously. It's this need for self-care and doing your own grieving and your own shock process that you're in, and also at the same time trying to or needing to take care of and attend to some of the other children in the family or some other relatives and other people. And it's really an impossible task. Mm-hmm. And yet that's what's asked of you.
What's the emotional shock for you? Worse in the beginning? A couple of months after? I mean, what kind of... For you, Nadine, and your husband, what was it worse when you first found out the news? Or were there relapses as far as... Or was it pretty constant as far as...
Well, it's
pain?
different. I mean, it keeps changing. I mean, you start out and you feel in otherworldly, in shock, as if you're sort of floating over the earth in a way. And then you...
Well, describe it for me. After your son died, over the next 3 months, what was life like for you?
You go for a walk. Just go for a walk. The trees had a different color. You know, things felt different. The air was humming. It was, you physically feel upset, and upset's not the right word. I mean, you feel altered. And you go to the grocery store. You cry over a jar of spaghetti sauce because they loved spaghetti, or you know, it's like nothing else on earth, basically. As time goes on, you physically get better, but you have these relapses where inexplicably, you know, something, anything, a song, you know, some food.
Were there actual physical?
Sure.
Manifestations of this where you physically felt ill and physically were deteriorating?
I'm a jogger. I couldn't jog for 3 months. I was incapable of doing it. It's taken me this long to get back to the shape I was in before.
The same for you, Joanne? Was there physical?
I think the thing I noticed the most, you know, when people talk about a broken heart, was the feeling on your chest.
Yes.
It just was like a heavy pressure on your chest all the time. And I think that's the most physical thing that I noticed.
Did you basically, Evelyn, you were telling me that many of the things that you've done since the death of your daughter, you look back on it and feel like there was somebody else that was there. It wasn't to you.
Yeah, it seems like
almost you were like on autopilot or whatever, just going day to day, not really focusing on the future or anything else, but basically existing.
Yeah, take one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. That's all you can do.
Were there times were there times at all that you felt, I've got a handle on this, I am going to be able to deal with this, and then all of a sudden you just were flooded with emotions again?
Well, I think one of the main defenses that I used for the first several months was anger. I was so angered by what happened that I really focused on doing whatever needed to be done to make sure this woman was taken to justice, was tried, was convicted. And I really don't think that I began really grieving until the conviction. And I firmly believe that I needed to somehow have settled in my mind that there was some way that I had taken care of what happened to him.
Dr. Schluter, as you listen to these stories, the range of emotions, I'm sure there is an up and down. Is there more shock in the beginning and that later on maybe even a more deep sorrow? Or
It seems that way. And also what you were saying, Nadine, the cues, the things that trigger various reactions over time. So there can be a shock phase and people having what looks like a memory disorder or what looks like inability to concentrate, going around in a fog. And that's very normal, even though most of the time that wouldn't be normal. Then there are these cues, these reminders that bring back very deep memories, and you almost start back to square one, as you were saying. You feel like it's happening all over, and you get the sights and sounds and
So
smells
one might
and
go on living their
sensations.
life for 5, 6, 7, or 8 months. People around them feel that, hey, it's been almost a year. You know, you never get over this, but at least they're beginning to deal with it, and they're all right now. Then all of a sudden, it all turns over on you again.
Right, and I think we're going to talk about that, or I hope we do, about people's reaction over time to a situation like this, because there's this assumption that, well, you should be done now, or a year is the proper grieving period, or some cultural things like that, and that's just really not very accurate and not very fair. It's not done.
Let me take a break, and when we come back, going through that legal process, if your child is murdered, as you mentioned, Tom, you wanted to see that person brought to justice, and of course going through that was another whole difficult set of problems.
Well, the fact that we're here in over 2 years or 5 years or whatever beyond our this event tells us that 1 year is not the right grieving time.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Enjoy extra sugar-free gum.
Come on. You get extra refreshing flavor that keeps coming through. Extra sugar-free gum lasts an extra, extra long time for you.
Sugar-free Extra is unsurpassed in fighting cavities. That's right, unsurpassed in fighting cavities. And Extra has NutraSweet.
Extra refreshing flavor that keeps coming through. Extra sugar-free gum lasts an extra, extra, extra long time for you.
Extra helps fight cavities and lasts extra long.
If we could make you a salad with dehydrated lettuce or fresh lettuce, which would you prefer? Dehydrated tomatoes or fresh, ripe tomatoes, which would you prefer? The leading ranch dressing made with dehydrated buttermilk or new Rancher's Choice from Kraft made with fresh buttermilk, which would you prefer? New Rancher's Choice from Kraft, the one real choice.
It's a sensational story about a sensational deal. Let's go live to Kentucky Fried Chicken for the news about 10 pieces of new extra tasty crispy.
That's right, Dan. It's the Pick 10 deal. 10 pieces of new extra tasty crispy. Just $7.99.
$7.99?
The Pick 10 deal. 10 pieces of new extra tasty crispy or delicious original recipe chicken. Just $7.99.
Great price.
That's the story. $7.99. Now, a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Never pay a real estate commission again.
I saved enough money to furnish my condo. Thanks, Seller's Choice.
We'll never use a real estate broker again. Thanks, Seller's Choice.
We sold in 4 weeks and saved over $5,000 in real estate commissions.
Yeah, it was easy. Thanks, Seller's Choice.
Sell your property fast and avoid high real estate fees.
Now you have a choice, Seller's Choice. If you're buying or selling real estate, call Seller's Choice today.
Welcome back to Twin Cities Live. We're talking with parents whose children have been murdered. I did notice, I just had Dr. Tom Whitcop. You are a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
If there would be someone who would have been trained on how to understand some of these emotions that would go through a person that would make that person kill another human being, you have had that. Did that prepare you any better for what you went through? Or did all of that just go off? Absolutely not.
I think the one thing that was so clear in that aspect is that I had absolutely no idea what the emotions were about experiencing this sort of loss. Through all the years that I was a treating person, I never really understood what the depth of that emotion was. And I frankly don't think anybody can. I think any treating person can give you guidelines or can give you information from books, but it has nothing to do really with what extent these emotions occur. And I frankly found that the only thing that was helpful was being around or with people that had experienced the same thing I had. The Parents of Murdered Children support group was really the only arena that gave me some sense of understanding.
Because they, in fact, knew what you were going through.
They knew exactly what I was going through.
Well, my son's been dead for 3 years and 3 months now, and it's still hard for me to deal with because it was so violent. So I've been going to the group for when I first started, but my psychiatrist told me not to because I had a nervous breakdown about a year ago again.
You mentioned earlier that what makes this different than a parent losing a child in some other way is the violence. Is that, you mentioned it again, is that for you the hardest part of this? Is that your child?
Yeah, it's the violent part that was involved in it with drugs and stuff. The two that did it were on drugs, high on drugs.
You know, we had a case in our group when we first started, and the first or second time we went, everyone said, so-and-so has just died. Her son had been murdered 3 years before that, and they said she just died. And everyone said she died of a broken heart. There was no doubt about it in anybody's mind that she died of a broken heart.
How are you?
I feel like I'm going to die over and over, even, you know, now, because they didn't get too much of a sentence, and they're supposed to be out in a couple of years. So I'm dealing with that right now, too.
Well, I mentioned that before we went to break, the legal process of going through that. So not only do you have to deal with the murder of your child, but also the fact that you don't feel justice was served.
No.
For those of you who have already been through trial, you had to relive this whole thing all over again.
Yes, indeed.
Not only that, the trial is a forum for the defendant, and it's a horrible experience to go through because the defendant is allowed to get on the stand and lie to the, you know, they're indulged, and it's a terrible experience. I mean, you have a whole different idea of what the legal system is until you get into it. And, you know, we were told that it was the best thing to do was to allow her to just lie on the stand. And it turned out we had the best outcome that could possibly have happened, but it's horrifying.
You said in your case he didn't have a trial.
No, we had to plea bargain to get what they got. Yeah.
Plea bargain in your case also, Joanne. I mean, you basically had to not get the full extent of the law on the man that killed your daughter to get her body back.
Yeah, right. That's what we thought. But then there was an upward departure from the guidelines, so the judge gave him 2.5 times the sentence, so he really got the same as he would have for first degree.
Did you go to the trial? Was it difficult for you?
It wasn't a trial, it was a sentencing. It's like a, you know, it's not like anything they went through. It was like a 2-hour, he was there. That's the last time we saw him.
For the Coonrides, obviously, this trial is still in progress as far as
Yes, it is.
the alleged murder of your child. And obviously I'm not going to ask you any questions about the legalities of that, but the procedures as they go along, will you attend? Will you?
I think we'll probably go to maybe the first couple of days. I don't think we could go sit through it.
Is it difficult, Dr. Sluter, for parents to, they've gone through this once, and to go in and hear people talk of what happened in legal terms without emotion about the death of their child?
It has to be. It has to be. Hearing you folks talk about it, I'm in the position that Dr. Whitcott mentioned. Fortunately, it hasn't happened in my life, so I'm dealing with it from books and from experience with other people who've had very bad traumas happen in their lives. But it brings up all of those events, it brings up all of those memories, it brings up all of those emotions, and I believe that it prolongs the grieving process because it's happening over and over and over before you're allowed to finalize or to grieve it yourself. It also takes it from private grief to public grief, and it becomes everybody's issue, it becomes everybody's topic, and all your private life or your child's private life details are in the media every time you turn around.
Go ahead, Tom. Thing to remember about that, though, is that The victim's life or lack of it after his or her murder is not the issue once this goes to trial. Once the legal system takes hold of this, this is all about the defendant. This is all about the perpetrator. This is all about the murderer.
So the lost dreams, the lost life of that individual.
No one cares. It will never happen.
No one cares about that.
Grandchildren from our, you know, I mean, it is the coldest, most, and we had an excellent attorney, prosecutor, and the outcome was fantastic. She was convicted of first-degree murder and is given a life sentence. To the extent of Minnesota law, she got what she deserved. And
But you mentioned the most important thing there, and that's what I think many people forget, that you will not have grandchildren from your son, and the many other dreams of seeing those children grow up and being with him and enjoying his life is not there for you, and it doesn't count for anything in court. Let me get this viewer in here who's been on the line. Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
Yes, I've always, I shouldn't say always, but recently I've thought about these sort of things because it seems like this violent crime is on the increase, and I have 3 children. And
well, I don't think any of us are immune to this, unfortunately, in our society.
But I've envisioned myself going to the trial, and when I was convinced that this person was guilty, somehow taking vengeance on not killing him, but somehow getting a gun in that courtroom and blowing his kneecaps off. In other words, to take a statement to these people that if the system won't deal with you, you know, at least the person would be maimed for the rest of his life and endure. I know this sounds sick, but the question is, have any of these people here actually contemplated getting the perpetrator themselves?
We all have.
Every one of them.
Sure.
Every one of you?
Every one of them. Pretty near every night when you go to bed.
We used to talk about how
really thought in your mind, Joanne, did you thought in your mind that if you had the opportunity, that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth?
Right. That's normal.
You know, what separates us, however, from the murderer is the fact that we didn't do it. The murderer decided to do it, and it is that level of self-centeredness that separates us, normal people, from the type of personality that will actually do that.
And that's, you know, and that's where that caller, you know, doesn't know the difference in himself. Sure, he knows that he would feel that, and he's right. And I don't know anybody that I've talked to in parents of murdered children that hasn't fantasized murdering the murderer, and not one of us have done it. And that man wouldn't do it either. But it's you can't help but think about it.
Your child is murdered, does not go on living. You have to go on living. You have to keep on going to work. You have to earn a living. You have to live. How did you do that, and how did it affect you on the job, financially, and just trying to get through what can be a very tough world? We'll be back in a moment.
Famous Footwear's back to cool. 25% off Nike and LA Gear for everyone. Take another 25% off at Famous Footwear now!
Hi again, everyone. Gary Lumpkin for the Weight Loss Clinic. And this is Jeannie Janish, who visited our clinic in St. Paul and, listen to this, lost...
114 pounds.
Well, you got to say that again.
114 pounds.
It's fun to say that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Now, that took you...
7 months.
Okay, 114 pounds in 7 months. Life's got to be different. Tell me about it.
I enjoy life better. I like to go shopping more.
Well, shopping, sure, you got to be different sizes. From what to what?
22, 24 down to a 12, sometimes a 10 now.
That is a big difference. People have got to be noticing that kind of a weight loss.
Yes, they do.
That's what'll happen when you visit the Weight Loss Clinic. They notice Jeannie. They notice me, too. I lost 25 pounds, and I've kept it off for over a year. It'll work for you. And if you call the Weight Loss Clinic now, you can take advantage of this special $39 offer. So call 1-800-633-THIN. That's 1-800-633-THIN for the Weight Loss Clinic near you. And get on the program and start losing weight the right way, the Weight Loss Clinic way, the permanent way. Call today.
You say you got a rainy day, you want to chase the clouds away, have a little sunshine. Have a little sunshine. Have a bunch, you can have it all. You're having no cholesterol, have a little sunshine. Have a little sunshine.
Now you can get the great taste of sunshine with no cholesterol. There's absolutely no cholesterol in virtually all of Sunshine's cookies and crackers.
Have a little sunshine. No cholesterol at all. Have a little sunshine.
News touches people's lives.
Our goal is simple. We want to leave you better informed.
Randall Carlisle and Angela Astor on Minnesota's News Channel.
Are you the victim of a traffic accident? Well, call the attorney hotline now. Let them find an attorney who will work with you to protect your rights. Rights you can lose if you delay.
Good morning, I'm Wendy Lubavitch. Today on Eyewitness News Midday, we will show you some beautiful Amish quilts live from the Minneapolis Institute of Arts. That's at 11:30.
Look at this comment from the audience. Go right ahead.
My son was murdered 3.5 years ago, and my situation is a little different. He was a victim of an unsolved homicide. They don't know who killed him. And, you know, the things that you're saying that you've had to go through because you've known who killed him, the trial and everything else, I don't think I want to go through that. So I tell everybody, I don't want to know who killed him. I don't want to know. Because I believe that what goes around comes around. And knowing...
Wouldn't you feel differently if that person were brought to justice and given a life sentence and wasn't... I would think it would be difficult for you knowing that that person could be walking around living a life and enjoying whatever he wanted to do, whereas your son is dead.
But I don't know who he is. And with the sentencing guidelines like they are, they'll be out in my lifetime. And they'll still be walking the street, and I'll know who they are. And I don't think I want to deal with that. Plus, when they get ready, when they're convicted, and they get ready for parole, then it brings all this back up again. You got to go through all of this pain, this anguish that you went through once before. I believe, and I sincerely believe that there's a higher power that will take care of that person, because you cannot go through life mistreating individuals and not get mistreated yourself.
You do bring up an important point. There are many people who have their children murdered and have no idea. And how different is it for them? Is it different?
I think you've brought up a very good point, the knowing. And these people have a focus for the anger and for the anguish, and you don't. There's a different kind of pain involved with that, and yet you'd be less likely to have to plan carrying out something like the fantasies that we were talking about. Also, just being spared the legal prosecution proceedings is probably a blessing in itself. I can see the healing part of it way down the stream after the fact. But I don't think there's much that's very healing about it at all in process.
But how do you, people will say, well, Bob, how can you talk about paying a mortgage, paying a car note, stuff like that? But, I mean, you have to continue to live. You have to go to work. You have to earn a living in the midst of all this emotional pain. How do you go on with your life just getting out of bed and going to work and trying to act, quote, like a normal person, as if nothing had happened? Joanne?
Friends. It's your friends. The people at work were so supportive of me when I came back. There was flowers on my desk, and it's your friends. You can't do it without them.
Did any of you experience problems with that?
I think you just get on an automatic pilot.
You do the best you can.
Right. You just...
I mean, some days are long days, but you do the best you can.
Because I would think it would be difficult to concentrate on.
It is.
On what suddenly becomes such trivial things in your life.
It is. It's just like I felt like a robot. You just kind of know what, thank heavens for habits.
Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead.
Yes. I would just like to comment that I'm a friend of Joanne Erickson, and I'd like to say that, I still suffer for the family too, and I hurt inside and I ache for them, and I loved Linda very much, and you get mad when something like this happens, and you hurt for years and years, and the hurt never goes away.
Was it difficult for you to bring up the topic?
When talking to Joanne?
Yeah, I mean, did you feel it was better not to bring it up and act like, quote, nothing had really happened, and that, fine, I don't know what your relationship is with her, but whenever you're around her, fine, we'll just go on as if nothing had happened, and not to bring up Linda's name, not to talk about...
You hesitate to talk about it because for fear that you might bring up the hurt again, although you know that it's in their mind, but you hesitate as a friend to keep on the subject, to keep bringing it up. You don't want to keep bringing it up, but you think about it yourself.
That's very common. People hardly know how to comment or don't know what to say, what to react like with a regular death, with a regular loss, and this is a very uncommon, tragic loss. And I think that's something all of these people have experienced, is people avoiding them, people avoiding the topic, and that's more painful rather than less painful.
Yes, I think you sometimes you feel as if you've got a disease, or you're a strange pariah or something. You walk into the room and there's a way in which people become hushed. They don't know what to say, and I understand that because I can remember many times in my life when I didn't know what to say around a tragedy. But it does make you feel separate, as if you've caught something that perhaps they feel maybe they'll catch it too.
One thing that we definitely want to talk about today is how to get on with your life. We have talked when we come back in a moment, can you laugh again? And does this affect your relationship as man and wife? And can you ever have a good time again in your life and go on? Because you still have a lot of years left. We'll be back in a moment.
Pure and Light. Now pure fruit juice has zing.
Zing, zing, zing goes the cherry. Zing, zip, zoom, tangerine. Zing, zap, zip goes the raspberry. Zing, bang, boom goes the peach.
Dole Pure and Light. Nothing artificial. No sugar added. It's the 100% fruit juices in 4 great flavors that puts the clean, crisp zing in new Dole Pure and Light.
A taste that goes zing.
Like any good coach, honey, a mom knows the score. Say your center, your guard, and your power forward all need athletic shoes, and you don't have the payroll of the pros. Well, it's no sweat. Payless has athletic shoes on sale in all the popular styles and for about 1/3 of the popular prices.
Mom, can I have these too?
Honey, it's not in your contract.
Now, Pro Wings are on sale starting at $9.99. And with any pair, get a sports bag for just $5. Pay less Shoe Source. You could pay more, but why?
You don't have to struggle to see the difference between 100% natural Kraft sliced cheese and all the rest. We're the only one in the zip pack resealable package. Want to keep it fresh? Make it 100% natural, only from Kraft. It can be downright hard to keep some shredded cheese fresh, but the 100% natural Kraft exclusive hold-tight package makes it easy. See? Want to keep it fresh? Make it 100% natural, only from Kraft.
Your goal, portrait photography. Your goal, fashion photography. Or your goal, advertising photography. You could do portraiture, fashion, advertising photography, and much more. And you can do these skills in just 120 days at the School of Communication Arts. You can call for help, 721-5357, 721-5357, the School of Communication Arts. There's financial aid available if you qualify.
Let me go right to the phone lines and get this viewer in. An important point that needs to be brought up here. Good morning. You're live on Twin Cities Live. Go right ahead. Are you there, caller?
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
I have a question for the Coonrods. A sort of a question and a comment. I wondered how they felt about the media coverage of their daughter's murderer, how his privacy rights were protected. And I don't even know what he looks like. He was allowed to cover his face. And during that same time, we were all privileged to pictures of Darville every day, who gave some athletes some money. You know, he was treated as a murderer, spent over $200,000 to get him back here. And I wondered how you felt about that. We don't even know what your daughter's murderer looks like.
Let's talk a little bit about the coverage. And do we not, and weren't you even a little bit desensitized to the constant stories that we see every day on television, and it's somebody else, and they just go by in a minute and 30 seconds, and we go on with our life. What was it like for you every night with television constantly covering that story and constantly making a very private tragedy into a very public event?
At first, it was very, very hard. Well, I shouldn't say at first. It was, I think we saw so many pictures of Carrie's body in the ramp that we finally were getting upset, and Jim made some calls to different television stations asking them to please stop showing it. And we even saw pictures 4 and 5 months afterwards. They'd talk about something else. They'd show a picture of her body and then Mary Foley's, because they were kind of together. But as far as her alleged killer, the man hasn't been convicted of it. I guess he's got his privacy rights, even though she doesn't.
What about coverage for the rest of you? I mean,
I think in the beginning we had a lot of problem with the media. I mean, it's a terrible thing to turn on television and see your son in a body bag. I mean, it's impossible. And also during the trial, they misrepresented all kinds of things that went on in the trial. Not to mention that they represented all of her lies. So that was very difficult. But then in the middle of all that, someone wrote a story about it in one of the local magazines, who was so sensitive and so thorough, and investigated it with such expertise that that helped.
But did you ever give much thought to any of those type of stories which you had seen? We all see thousands of them, unfortunately. Constantly, network news, local news, newspapers, magazines. Did you ever give much thought to the parents of whoever it was that was murdered? I don't think we ever think about that.
Well, it did fleetingly go through my mind,
yeah.
Just from having children. But
Joanne, how about for you? Because it was
well, it was different for us. You know, we needed the media to keep it going. I mean, we had to find her. So it was, you know, if they used us, we used them just as much.
Can you laugh again? Can you not be normal? I don't want to use that word, but can you laugh again? Can you go on and have a good time, or do you feel guilty?
That's what we were just saying.
You'll laugh again, you'll go out, you'll be having a good time, and all of a sudden it'll hit you. You feel guilty by doing it. You get a guilty feeling.
Yeah, you do. You feel guilty. You feel upset that you've been allowed to go on and your child hasn't. And every time you laugh, you feel... And it was my son's favorite thing to do. He was very lively and outgoing and laughing all the time, and so, yes.
I do want to
But we do it anyway.
Yeah.
We laugh anyway.
Yeah, I want to hear what goes on in the group, Parents of Murdered Children, how this works, what you say to one another in coping with this, and what you'd say to parents who are, and I'm sure there are parents that are still dealing with this in the audience right now. We'll be back in a moment.
In the great tradition of Disney wilderness classics comes the exciting tale of a daring African rescue. The story of 2 Americans risking their lives to save a wild cheetah. Look out! Only in theaters, it's an all-new Disney adventure, Cheetah, rated G. Playing together with the Disney cartoon classic, Mickey and the Seal, featuring Mickey, Pluto, and an uninvited guest. Together in a wet and wild adventure, Mickey and the Seal, rated G, playing only with Cheetah.
Starts Friday. Check newspaper for listings.
Look what's here. It's Woolworth's back-to-school sale, packed with great campus casuals, like these ladies' stretch jeans by Gitano and Fabriano, now 50% off. Soft fleece tops and pants in super colors, Annie 2 for $10. Plus trim-looking white canvas sneakers for ladies and teens, an outstanding buy this week at just $2.99 at Woolworth, where you can use your Discover card that pays a cash-back bonus.
Minnesotans, you may never have to diet again. With our easy weight loss hypnosis program, you can eat what you want and lose the weight. Developed locally and improved over 10 years by Michael Kelly, medically trained and registered hypnotherapist. Most clients find themselves immediately eating between 25 to 50% less food. Documented case history shows some people lose up to and over 100 pounds without dieting or strenuous exercises. Unlike most diet programs, each session is individual. We custom design your plan in our Twin City offices, so all 6 sessions are unique to you. And to reinforce your easy weight loss program in the comfort of your home, we give you 6 powerful audio cassette programs absolutely free. With our easy weight loss program, you don't count calories, no drinks to mix, no special foods to buy, and best of all, you're only a phone call away from the person you want to be.
For free consultation, call 920-0044.
I'd like to give you some numbers, very important numbers. First of all, Parents of Murdered Children, the local number, 698-2526. And the national organization is 513-721-LOVE. Also, another great organization in town, Compassionate Friends, 433-2084. Many people would think that you'd want to be alone to deal with this individually. All of you at one time or another have gone to groups and have gotten involved. What sort of things go, what happens in those groups? And what do you talk about to help one another cope with this?
Well, it's, you know, to walk into that group the first time, it's not a pretty picture. Because
it was difficult for you.
Absolutely. And to sit through the first session that I sat through was one of the more difficult things I've ever done, because I heard people's stories. I heard the stories of several people's children getting murdered. And
you had enough pain of your own to deal with,
right?
Much less hearing.
And you jump right into everybody else's heartache, everybody else's loss, everybody else's tragedy.
I told my husband afterwards I felt like I'd gone through the Holocaust, that person.
Everybody's story is as horrible or more horrible than your own.
Then after you listen to that, you think yours isn't quite that bad then after you listen to some of them.
Right.
Well, you end up feeling sorry for the other people, too. It's your sympathy. You sympathize with them, and they sympathize with you, and that's what you
And everybody knows what everybody's going through.
I think it's the look in people's eyes that's the most important thing in the group. It's the look in their eyes and knowing that they understand and...
The sincerity.
Yes,
Our child wasn't murdered, but we belong to the Compassionate Friends, but we go through the same thing, and I think the discussing of it and dealing with how your child died is what helps get you through the grieving. And the more you talk about it, that you make that extra step. And that's the importance of the support groups, be it Parents of Murdered Children, Compassionate Friends.
Did you all talk, did you feel, in the beginning, did you talk a lot about it? Or did it take you a long time to be able to talk to other strangers about it?
Took me a long time.
It did?
Yeah. I didn't go to the groups right away. It took a long time before I even went to.
Guests of Twin Cities Live stay at the Radisson Plaza Hotel, located in downtown Minneapolis, featuring the Festival Restaurant. Limousine service for the guests of Twin Cities Live is provided by Henderson Limousine, Minnesota's largest selection of corporate sedans, classic cars, and deluxe stretch limousines. Bob Bruce's wardrobe is provided by Cedric's International Fashions and Furs for men and women, located in the Galleria. Hair and makeup provided by Take 5, 504 North 1st Avenue in the Butler Building. For group reservations and a chance to let our viewers know about your organization's upcoming special events, call 641-1298 or write to Twin Cities Live, 3415 University Avenue, Minneapolis, 55414.
I do want to quickly give 2 numbers again. First of all, Parents of Murdered Children locally, 698-2526, and Compassionate Friends, 433-2084. My thanks to my guests for coming in, and maybe all of us who have not experienced this tragedy, maybe we'll be able to understand a little more and help our friends who unfortunately have to go through this. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you tomorrow on Twin Cities Live.
Somewhere in all these dusty law books, a great idea got lost. The idea that law's for people, and people should be able to afford it. At Hyatt Legal Services, we took the fear out of legal fees. You can consult with one of our lawyers for just $20. And for cases like divorce, wills, accidents, and bankruptcy, we tell you our fee up front. I'm Joel Hyatt, and you have my word on it. We took the fear out of legal fees. Across the country,